Breaking earlier today, a federal judge ruled that deferred action for childhood arrivals, or DACA, violates the Administrative Procedure Act. The judge ordered the Department of Homeland Security to stop approving new applications for the time being. As a reminder, DACA is an Obama-era immigration program that prevents certain illegal immigrants from being deported. Well, joining us now for reaction is the co-host of Outnumbered, former White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany, along with Fox News contributor Joe Concha and former senior advisor to President Trump, Stephen Miller. Thank you all for joining us here tonight, this beautiful night. Stephen, I want to start with you because you've been so involved and engaged on immigration policy for President Trump. What does this ruling mean tonight?
Well, the ruling is a huge victory for the U.S. Constitution. Unfortunately, the judge did stay his ruling, so it's not going to mean that the work permits and the government benefits that has been given to hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants will be canceled. Those will continue, and so the lawlessness will continue. But on the merits is an incredibly important moment for the U.S. Constitution to say that the executive can't make law. The executive cannot give amnesty to people through fiat that Congress has refused to give time and time again. Unfortunately, this president that we now have, Joe Biden, has issued a number of memoranda that, just like DACA, are plainly illegal, create new immigration law out of nothing at all. And my organization, America First Legal, is taking this president to court, along with many of our great attorneys general, to sue over those very policies.
No, this is a developing story and such an important one, and we will continue to monitor it, and I'm sure we'll be coming to you with a lot of questions for it. But let's shift back now to what happened at the White House. Kayleigh, I want to get your perspective. You stood on that podium before, but I got to tell you, what I hear this White House doing in colluding with Facebook to take down accounts, to monitor people, some would call that spying. It's truly stunning to me, the openness in which they admit that, yes, they are doing this.
You just hit on the key point, which is the openness with which they are doing this. I mean, I hear a lot of things that in the White House press briefings I take issue with, or I know it's a deception or not a truthful matter in what's being spun to us, like saying Republicans want to defund the police. But I literally almost fell out of my chair when I heard an admission from the podium that they are working with social media companies to censor. I mean, this is the crux, Jason, of the lawsuit put forward by President Trump, that class action lawsuit. He says social media is colluding with the government and thus becoming state actors and trampling on the First Amendment. People said, oh, no, that's crazy. President Trump, that's crazy. It was admitted from the podium and then doubled down on today. And what a very poor cleanup effort. I heard something in that soundbite about, well, people care less about Big Brother and more about saving lives. That's not how the First Amendment works. You have free speech in this country with few exceptions like obscenity and child pornography and real threats. You have the ability to speak, and the government cannot compel a private company to censor you. I think they've got a lot of legal morass and trouble coming their way after that press briefing.
Yeah, the federal government, Joe, is supposed to be the regulator of this organization, but they're colluding with this organization to take down what they define as misinformation. Now, misinformation, how does the government and Facebook, the Facebook gods, determine what misinformation is?
Precisely, and I like the word colluding here because it fits. If the White House is colluding with Facebook on what is right and wrong speech per their definitions, then every news item deemed negative to the administration can also ultimately be censored or suppressed outside of COVID. Now, you saw Jen Psaki before. She said the administration is simply, working with Facebook to combat misinformation. But who gets to define what misinformation is? The White House? So, look, one has to believe, Jason, that Facebook is not biased in serving at the pleasure of the Democratic Party. Of course it is. And of course, Facebook is acting in good faith. You have to believe that. It doesn't. And Facebook's fact-checking in the past in terms of having a good track record? Yeah, no. Because remember, about a month ago, if you posted anything in terms of did COVID come from a lab in Wuhan, China, that was suppressed and censored because it was deemed misinformation. And many in the media and the Democratic Party called it a reckless conspiracy theory. Yeah, misinformation. Now suddenly it's a real possibility, as even Democrats are conceding. So Facebook also suppressed and censored any misinformation about Hunter Biden's laptop. You remember that? They called it Russian disinformation. So not exactly a shining track record here. Here's your takeaway. Poll after poll after poll says that a majority of Americans, including Democrats, support breaking up big tech. But as long as Democrats are in power and they benefit from big tech, that ain't going to happen, Jason.
Yeah, they're carrying their water. And Stephen, I think one of the biggest concerns that I have is now you get these reports and they're admitting that they are not only going to go and look at social media, but they want to go after your direct messages, one-on-one communication with whoever you choose to, a suspicionless American talking to another Americans. It doesn't get any scarier than that.
Whether you're talking about this, whether you're talking about what's happening on the border or DACA, it's about the U.S. Constitution being thrown out the window. The other two guests had it exactly right, Joe and Kayleigh. This is state censorship. Creeping authoritarianism from the left has now reached a full gallop. Apparently, Jen Psaki did not understand the lesson from 1984 when presumably she read it when she was in high school. It was not intended as a governing blueprint. It was intended as a cautionary tale. And to hear her at the press podium talk about government censorship as a positive good is truly chilling. Going after Americans with the mighty power of government in collusion with big tech to take away their free speech, to take away their platform, to take away their livelihood, to invade their private province, their private domain as citizens, their ability to express themselves. This is something out of an autocracy. And as Kayleigh said, it is a huge gift to President Trump because Jen Psaki has admitted now, with the White House seal behind her, that big tech is doing the bidding of big government, and that makes it unconstitutional.
Kayleigh, going into 2022, I mean, if the Democrats think that it's misinformation to take a different policy position than the current administration or a Democrat running in some congressional district, presumably they can either get that taken down or have it suppressed or have a warning label slapped on it.
Oh, we've already seen it happen. Here in Florida, Governor DeSantis had Dr. Scott Atlas, a fantastic colleague that I used to work with from Stanford. There were other Yale scholars on this panel that Governor DeSantis hosted, very well credentialed academics, and they merely talked about children not wearing masks, citing all of the harm that it can do. The World Health Organization already says small children should not be wearing masks, but when Governor DeSantis and Stanford and Yale experts said it, YouTube took the panel off the platform. That is censorship designed to do exactly what you said, censor a political rival. This will become political, and I'll tell you this, they will never, to Joe's point, censor lies about Lafayette Square, lies about COVID origins. They will never censor any of the lies told about President Trump, Russia collusion, Russia bounties. I could go on and on. Where is that censorship? It doesn't exist.
Joe, you know, one of the things that strikes me, too, is where are all the liberals? You know, the true liberal who doesn't like big government, that wouldn't like censorship and stuff. They're like totally gone. They've been totally wiped off the face of the planet. They've now gone to this radical, far, far left part of the party that does believe in socialism, does believe in communism, does believe that there should be state control. But it strikes me that this idea of a liberal has actually gone out the door.
That's the amazing part, right? I'm old enough to remember the Patriot Act, which was enacted right after 9/11, right? And the excuse was the same as we're hearing from this White House. We need to save American lives, therefore we will trample on the individual rights of people's privacy. I didn't agree with that then. I don't agree with that now. And back then, remember, that was a Republican in power. The bottom line is that in these situations, you can't use, well, we want to save your life, therefore we are now going to spy on you. We're going to infringe on what you have as privacy in order to save you. And by the way, I don't think anybody's really going on Facebook and seeing some things that are on there and saying, you know what, I was going to get the vaccine, but now I'm not. Because the flu vaccine, only what, 48% of people in this country get the flu vaccine. Maybe some people just don't like vaccines. I got the vaccine. I'm very happy with it. I think it's very effective. My family got it, but I'm not going to judge anybody who doesn't want to get it. And I'm certainly not naive enough enough to think that because of social media, that's killing people, like the president said. Maybe just some people don't like to put a foreign substance in their body that hasn't been around for very long. I don't agree with it, but I respect their right to that opinion in terms of what they do with their bodies, Jason.
Yeah, look, this is the United States of America where self-determination is so paramount. I got the vaccine. My wife got the vaccine. I believe in it. But you know what? I respect other people get to make their own decision. And I don't need the gods at Facebook colluding with the federal government and the government bureaucrats to make these types of determinations. Joe, Kayleigh, Stephen, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We really do appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.